Another. Let's talk
Destiny.
Destiny. This is a big deal.
Yeah. Everyone hates it.
Yeah, or loves it.
Well,
Mostly
at
hates
this
it,
point,
though.
everyone hates it.
Yeah. So we're a little. I mean, the game came out 2 months and 4 days ago at the time of recording this. So we're obviously a little late to the show, but I think that that's a good thing. So like, there was a big issue that I had personally whenever the game had just come out, is that a lot of people rushed to review it really early, and so everybody either loved it and said it was just so great and ignored a lot of glaring problems, or they only focused on the glaring problems and they absolutely hated it.
Yeah, I feel like most people had a hard time. Like, they either reviewed only the story or only the gameplay, and I'm sure that's where the great divide comes in. The group of people who are like, oh, I don't care about the story. I just want to level up my dude, make him super cool. And then there's the other people that are like, I just wanted to shoot people in PvP.
Yeah, and that's a problem that we'll come back to later. But like, let's start with what Bungie did right. I mean, it was really anticipated. It was very hyped up, which caused a rift for some people. But let's just take a minute just to appreciate how smooth it ran.
Oh yeah.
How when we think about this generation, almost every game has not really run out of the gate. Like right now, Master Chief Collection's out. You can't matchmake in it.
Assassin's Creed's being kind of bad.
Assassin's Creed has a lot of glitches, and that's just all across all platforms.
Yeah,
like
and,
PC's
and
got
even
the
the
worst.
earlier ones like Battlefield were terrible.
Yeah, Battlefield 4 biggest upset, I gotta say, that I had of the early generation.
But like, there's a few games like Titanfall for sure that ran very well, but like at the same time, like that wasn't super next gen in any way.
Exactly, it was just another kind of futuristic first-person shooter. It wasn't like a groundbreaking new crazy concept like this was.
Yeah.
And so I do want to just take a little bit to just say, like, damn, they really worked their ass off making sure it ran really
I remember
smooth.
seeing shadows in the game for the first time. Like, they nailed the lighting.
Yeah, like, it's just, like, it's gorgeous all in all. And then, like, just being able to, like, look across the moon and you see the ISS and, like, it's crazy.
Yeah, or you're, like, on Venus and there's a giant volcano in the background with, like, running lava. And,
yeah.
like, there's just, like, they put so much attention to detail in every bit of the game. Like, it looks great. Like,
yeah, and like that's something that honestly, I love it just for that. Like, it's just gorgeous. Like, you look at it.
Yeah, and there's so many little things too. Like, there were a few times where like I was just sitting somewhere and I would just move my camera angle and your character would go in and out of focus and focus on things in the background or something like that. Just based on like, it's like a camera was there and focusing.
Yeah.
Like, it was, like, so cool. And, like, we do have a clip here. Like, we have, like, I was just walking, waiting for someone to meet me at one point, and it was on Venus, and it was raining. And I just, like, looked up in the sky trying to, like, find something cool to stare at. And I noticed, like, you got little droplets on your screen when you're looking straight up.
Yeah.
But when you're looking straight, you never see it.
Yeah.
And it's, like, how it would look like if you were staring up in the rain and, like, water was falling on your visor. Like, it was such a, like... They put, like, a lot of attention to, like, little details.
Exactly.
Like
And that's what, like, it really impresses me. And it just, like, looking at... We talk about, like, Sunset Overdrive recently came out. We were talking about how colorful it is. And I think it's really cool that, like, back in Destiny, like, it is extremely colorful, too. Like, and it has, like, it has a lot of dynamic range. Is what I really enjoy, is that you go to places where it's really dull. Like, when you're in the inner city in Venus... Like, it's dull colors, lots of, like, grays and blues.
Yeah, especially, like, the moon.
Yeah. But then, like, you get into, like, the wild of Venus, you have those, like, that, like, chemical pool that has, like, the rainbow colors on the inside of it. And then, I don't know, it's just, there's contrast there where it's not just, dark and dull, and that's it. Like, it didn't have just that one set tone where everything is just doom and gloom all the time. There were a lot of... And it's what you would expect, especially like after all these, recent sci-fi movies like Star Trek came out. Like, it's colorful, super colorful, and that's what we kind of expect with this kind of sci-fi world. Is that in the future we would have crazy flashing lights, wouldn't we? So it just
maybe not as big.
Maybe not, but it still. I mean, it looked great, and like you said, there's tons of detail.
Yeah.
Like,
and
like whenever you do like your whenever you sprint and then crouch and you do the slide, like there's like a rut in the dirt left after you do that.
Yeah.
Like that's impressive. Like it's cool that they thought like this would actually happen if you slid on the dirt, and that's there because of that.
And like even too, like with all this, it ran like fantastically. There were no like graphical hiccups. There was no like, oh, I dropped frames here because it was too intense, or like, oh, I can't. My gameplay isn't as good because everything looks so great. But like, like it was like the perfect mixture of like just gameplay and like good visuals.
Yeah, exactly. And back to, like, speaking of gameplay, like, just the gameplay at its core was very, very fun.
Yeah, and
which is why, like, when you did hear people talk about how bad it was, they were still playing it just because it's just fun to play.
Yeah, and, like, this game, like, I will admit, kind of got, like, you finish the game really fast if you're really trying. Like, I feel like they kind of, like, tried to cater to maybe the more casual gamers, like the ones that were like, oh, I've never played an MMO before, but I have played Halo, so I'm gonna pick up this game. And like, like it took maybe 2 days to reach like the cap, and you're just like at that point you're just like looking for cool stuff.
Yeah.
And like, well, I can see like that went really fast, like especially like for us, we played the hell out of it for a while, but at the same time, like I had a blast doing it.
Yeah, like, I mean, it was, like, the gameplay, well, I mean, it's standard first-person shooter, but you have that verticality, like, you have a double jump, sometimes triple jump if you're playing that class as a hunter, which arguably isn't that great, but regardless, like, it was refreshing, and it wasn't just your standard, like, you've got a pistol, and then an assault rifle, and that's your go-tos.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of variety, and that made it nice.
And they really picked out the elements. Like, I feel like they tried to make this like a hybrid first-person MMO type thing.
Yeah.
And I think they picked like the right elements from both of them to put in. Just because, like, while I was the kid that like sat at a rock on RuneScape and mined Mithril for like 10 hours. Like, in this game, you didn't have to do that, but it, like, there was some grinding, I guess you could say, but it felt fun. Like, you're having a good time doing it.
Yeah. And so, like, those are really great things, and I appreciate that, but now I'm going to move on to some things I don't like. And it's back to the whole MMO thing. And my problem with that, and it's what I think is the resounding overarching issue, is they never really told everybody that that's what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Now, you could, I mean, with the educated people who really kept up with it, and especially who played, like, the beta and stuff,
that's what
they knew, like, this is what I'm going to get into. Like, especially me having come from playing WoW for 7 years of my life. Like, I knew, like, this is going to be very much like an MMO. And
yeah, like, after I played the beta, at that point, I was like, I know what I'm getting myself into now. Like, I had no idea going in. I was just like, okay, like, I've played all of this. Like, this is Earth, and I've played the entire thing. Like, this is what it's going to be in the actual game. They told us that after the beta, and I was like, okay, judging by that, and that there's going to be this many planets, I understand, like, this is going to be how much of the game there is. Yeah. Like, I from that point, like, I wasn't very disappointed in, like, oh, there wasn't enough game, because, like, I knew exactly what I was getting into.
Yeah, but see, I honestly, whenever they had announced after the beta, like, oh, you played all of Earth, I was honestly really mad at that. I was like, really? That's it? You made it worse. Like, I was honestly just like, I cannot believe that that's all that is. Like, because they were talking up the whole really big open world thing. And then, like, I remember, like, at the end of the beta, it was the last day when me, you, and our friend Jace were playing, and I said, oh yeah, they just said this is the entirety of Earth. Like, that's all we've got. And Jace said to us, I don't care, I could do this all day. And I remember saying, like, haha, whatever, I can't. I need a lot more than that. Which, I mean, back with the other planets, like, there was a lot more. I wasn't disappointed in that. But we get into Destiny on day one. We're playing on Earth, and he like we're doing the same missions that were in the beta. He's like, "Is this the same that was in the beta?" I was like, "Yeah, I told you we played all of Earth in the beta." And he said, "What? That's it?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Another thing too is like it was deceptively open world. Like if you did like a patrol, you could just like roam around the same areas that the missions were in, but like you could go up to a spot where it's like, oh, look at all this stuff it can explore. Oops, that's an invisible wall. And it was just like I wanted there to be more areas that like because like in the game, like especially doing the missions, like they'd be like, Dustin, where are you? And I'd just be exploring, like and I was just like, I found a chest, and like that kind of thing. But like it was just like there were so many areas in the game that felt like there should be something there, and I wanted to explore it, but there was just an invisible wall, and I was like, come on, like like everywhere in Venus, like it seems like you can jump on the roof of something and like explore more. Like I know in the Nexus Strike, there are those 2 little buildings at the beginning where you have to kill all the servitors, and you should be able to get on top of those roofs, but there's invisible walls up there. And I was like, the first time I was like, maybe there's a chest or something cool up here. Jump, then I just bounced off.
And so another thing, like along that vein is. I really thought, like, I'm not upset about the amount of strikes. Like, having 1 to 2 per planet's nice. There's only one end-game thing, though. Like, even World of Warcraft, and well, I mean, you'd say World of Warcraft really, spends a lot more time doing this kind of stuff, and they've been in it for a long time, but they didn't just have, in WoW, they don't just have one end-game thing.
Yeah, it did kind of disappoint me that there was one raid, one final mission.
Yeah, and that's something that just kind of sucks about that, is what we're going to talk... What really bothers me the most is that... So, like, they talk about how there's going to be this ever-evolving thing, there's going to be new stuff every other week. There's not. And I thought there were going to be more, like, a new strike for this week that we're going to get to do. And then, like, whenever they did, like, the Queen's Wrath, like, the 3rd week in, I was like, ooh, new missions, but it was just a rehash of the same missions.
Just harder.
They were just... had some the like what skulls, and that's not what they're called.
What skulls would be?
Yeah, what skulls would be if this was Halo. But like that disappointed me, and I was like, oh, there's gonna be new content unleashed every week, but there's just absolutely not.
Yeah, like they had it going for about 2 weeks. They were like, oh, look at all the Queen's Wrath. Oh, look, Iron Bounty, and there's just been nothing.
And then something that just makes that worse is that in World of Warcraft. They launch with like 1 or 2 raids because, understandably, that's what you'd be able to do just at reaching the new level cap, like in an expansion or whatever. You reach level cap, get your little gear from the regular instances, which would be strikes in this game, and then you can take on the first level raid. 2 or 3 months later, new raid gets patched in for free. In this, the DLC costs $40 or $35, depending on how you pay for it.
I got it for $90.
But like that's not okay. To get, and that's what bothers me so much is that we're only getting 1 more raid and like 3 strikes. Is that like? And that's it.
Feasibly 2 more raids because.
I'm talking about. I'm just talking about like they just announced it's going to come in the first DLC, which comes out in December. And it's just 1 more raid and like 3 strikes, and they're raising the light level cap up 2 more levels, and they're making you pay 20 or 17.5, depending on how you paid for your DLC. But like that, I have a huge issue with talking about how it's going to be this ever-evolving thing, but it's not unless you pay for it.
And like it really sucks that like this can go on into a publisher debate about Activision, but because like historically Bungie has been good about like giving you DLC or like extra maps for Halo, like reasonably, like they didn't cut content to sell it to you later or anything like that, but it's definitely what seems to have happened in this game. Which is a huge like bummer, like just like I feel like this is kind of definitely hurting the Bungie name, even though they've created like wonderful games in the past. And like I feel that if they can get past like all this like publisher kind of shit, like I'm sure like at this point they had the game finished and Activision was like, hey, cut this for DLC. Like I feel like with feedback, like Destiny 2 is gonna like be a lot better in that regard.
I agree.
Like where it's not gonna be quite as deceptive.
Yeah, and I think that if they do the exact same thing for Destiny 2, they're gonna lose a lot of people that are gonna want to play it.
Well, I know they're gonna lose some now. Like just
yeah,
because,
like I can guarantee there's gonna be a lot of people that aren't gonna come back for this next DLC after being told that it's nothing basically new. Like it's just a new raid.
Yeah, you get a few new exotics, a few strikes, and a raid.
Yeah, and I think there's like 2 multiplayer maps too, not to overlook that, but like, yeah, exactly, like, that's another point. Multiplayer is very unbalanced, and I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't played it in a couple weeks. I don't know if they've had any, real changes to it, which is very possible, but the last time I played, we were all pissed off the entire time.
Yeah,
because
warlocks are the best.
Hands
down.
And if you try to argue that, just stop. Like, warlocks can either just revive themselves. Like, well, like the revive thing is less overpowered than just nuking the planet, but like it still kind of sucks. You kill a guy, you don't know that he can revive himself. He revives behind you and kills you, and you're just like shit.
Yeah, like I saw this one post this one time about like this guy getting really pissed that like the blade dancer was overpowered apparently, and like I play a hunter and I use blade dancer quite a bit. Like there's no health buff you get when you use it. Like you get
actually kind of it's slight. I mean it's not like you're invincible, but
you can still get one hit with a shotgun. Like the range, range is the only real difference. I guess like you have to be right up on them, but like I understand how it works. So if someone's trying to kill me with blade dancer, like 9 times out of 10 I'll kill them.
Yeah.
Or like be able to dodge because like I just know how it works, But like it was funny, like going back to the pose, like everyone was just like, really, that's the overpowered?
like it just
like while with blade dancer you can kill their entire team in one super, you have to be all up on them. Like it's a melee distance attack.
Yeah.
When you can seriously be on the other side of the map and just like lob a fucking bomb over to a like capture point and just kill everyone.
Yeah. And so like just in that like when we had shotguns. Shotguns are overpowered.
They fixed those apparently.
Yeah, they're a lot better than they were whenever we started.
Like
fusion rifles overpowered.
Yeah.
It's just like they didn't really pay, and also like there's no reason to use a weapon that isn't an auto rifle in it. Like if you're using a scout rifle or something, you're not gonna win.
Unless you're on like the huge maps where
where you can like shoot across the map, but in like the close quarters ish ones, if you don't have an auto rifle, you're not gonna win. Like you just can't.
And
you
big disclaimer: we don't play Destiny for the Crucible.
Yeah. Like it's not like that. The whole reason we play that game wasn't for the multiplayer, which is something that like I want to talk about. Like back to the marketing thing. There are a lot of people that either that got it because they're the ones that made Halo. It's gonna have really fun multiplayer. They got it. They've been in the Crucible since they hit level 5. They're just oblivious to this outside world where there's a raid. There's all this other stuff, and they're missing all of this game.
Yeah.
Like, really, the most impressive parts of it are outside of that. And then...
Yeah, like, doing the raid for the first time was, like, one of the coolest things I've ever done in video games, period.
Yeah, and, like, the footage that we're going to be using this is the first time that we went to Venus. And I remember just being awestruck. Like, I just remember looking at everything and being like, holy shit, like, it just looked so great. And, like, that's... So... I mean, I guess we need to start wrapping it up. We've complained a lot. Before we do that, we talked about the story earlier. That is something that kind of disappointed me. It's not that important to me, especially because it's a first-person shooter format. But it's just like, for a game that tried to put this huge universe in our lives, they put nothing in that universe for us to get excited about.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely don't know anything about anything.
Yeah, and like I've got, like, my theory with that is like most first games in a series, like a new IP like this, are kind of almost a proof of concept type situation. Like we had that with Watch Dogs, like obviously a different developer, where it was just like you get like a thinly veiled story with no real development in the characters, no backstory, nothing.
Yeah.
And like even like Halo 1, like I've been replaying that because of Master Chief Collection. It's like standard, I'm a soldier, let me go to these different places on this world and fight. And it's
yeah.
And like I understand from that point, like there needs to, like, this is why there's not a whole lot of story, but at the same time, like, there have been like rumors of like a lot of cut content, like within the different races, and it's like why are we even here? Why are we like, what's our motivation to like, besides being revived for some reason and to being told like, hey, we need to fight.
That's for Watch Dogs, I can defend it because like that's an entirely new kind of gameplay. Like that, besides like the third person shooting, that wasn't very cut. Like that's, we played games like that before, but doing the hacking thing, spying on people, hacking all the time, like that's different. This wasn't that different, other than having the cool different abilities.
Yeah.
But that's not like, you don't play the game because I can throw a bomb out of my hand as I'm a warlock and float and shit. Like that's not groundbreaking stuff. Like that's in other games, just in a different form. And so like I feel like they should have paid a little bit more attention to that story, especially if they were going to put it in there. Don't literally in the dialogue say, I could tell you but I'm not, or I don't have time to tell you why I don't have time. Because that's creating urgency when there's no urgency there, and then just absolutely totally keeping you in the dark when he definitely can tell you what the fuck happened. So I mean, I get really animated when I talk about the stuff that I don't like, but I mean, there's still a lot of really great things, and it's still really fun to play. And so, I would say, most importantly, is the fun gameplay.
Yeah, and like, honestly, like, this is shaping up to, honestly, in my opinion, be the best game of this year. Like, nothing else came out that was quite as good as this, despite all of its like definite downfalls. Like, by no means is the game perfect, but I don't think it should be hated as much as like some people on the internet decided it should be. While there was like a lot of like the whole DLC issue and a lot of like shitty publishing issues, like the game itself was fantastic.
Yeah, and like I can safely say that I'll probably sink more time in it than I will like Far Cry, and like I'm gonna get The Crew later in December, and I'm gonna get GTA again. I mean, I know I'm gonna put a lot of time in that. But like in Assassin's Creed, like I know I'm gonna spend about as much time just doing all the other extra little shit. But I definitely can say, like, you can't say that you hate this game and that it's under, like, I can't say that there's not enough content in it because of how much time I've been able to put into it and how much fun I've had while I'm playing it.
Yeah.
But I also can't ignore the times where I didn't like it. So we don't really give us, like, this isn't really a review or anything. But I just gotta say, like, it's an awesome game, and if you haven't played it yet, which, I mean, you're definitely a minority if you haven't, but you definitely need to pick it up. Let us know what you think about it.
And like, my opinion is this game isn't perfect, but it's the best we've got. And like, I feel like if Bungie really puts their heart and soul into fixing all these like no story and all these like issues that like us, the players, have like come up with after playing the game, Destiny 2 might be the best game of all time. Like,
Who knows?
Yeah, like, I mean,
only time will tell.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a while in the future to know. But we've got a lot to look forward to, and a lot of examples that are coming in the future, like The Division, for example, very similar, just in third person.
Oh yeah.
And so we'll be able to see how that's Ubisoft, I believe, that's doing that. And so we'll be able to see their take on it and see what they can do over.
Yeah, because this is extremely new territory. Like
for a console game, yeah. So, I'm excited to see where it goes in the future.
Me too.
Let us know what you think about it. Just don't give it... I will say, just like, I know you have some issues with it, but I can guarantee it's not as bad as you think it might be. Alright, well, thanks for watching Let's Talk. Next, we're going to have Assassin's Creed Unity.
Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Yes.
Alright, thank y'all. Have a good day.